Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, good morning. I am Dr. Taylor, and as you see there, I am the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. But, if you've been on my podcast before, usually I have my white coat on with all the Ageless Blueprint stuff and then the background. But today I want to just have kind of a personal conversation. And let people know who I am and kind of my core values. My patients, I've been a doctor for 40 years. I have some patients that I've known for 25, 30 years. And they kind of know me, my wife and I, we practice together. We have we feel like we have an intimate practice. We see patients one at a time. We don't rush through patients. We try to get to know our patients, and then our patients also get to know us. And so we enjoy medicine. We enjoy working together. And there's not a whole lot of couples who can say that. And we enjoy it, but it didn't come easy. We'll be married 40 years in June. And, marriage is not easy, but what we've discovered is that if you can survive, if you can filter your way through it, if you can negotiate and navigate your way through a committed relationship, when you finally get to that end point, and I feel like we're at 40 years, I feel like we're at that mountaintop. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay. And there was a lot of times where we could have made a decision to end it all. Believe me, it's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of opportunities to say, I can't take this anymore. But we didn't. And we're so glad we did. And I just want to talk about a little bit of this journey. And then I'm also want to connect it to what I talk about cortisol and hormones, because that's a part of it too. Because when you are dysregulated, when your hormones are out of balance, it's very hard for you to make logical decisions. You make emotional decisions. You make these primitive decisions. You're not making decisions that's using your executive function. And it ends up costing you when you don't allow your conscious mind to make decisions. And a lot of times when you're in love and you make unconscious decisions and you end up marrying a person that you probably shouldn't have married. And that's one of the things that people find out. Sometimes you have married the wrong person. And if you understand what marriage is about and what connection is about, you'll make better decisions, even getting into the decision of being married. So anyway, so let's start with some slides and we'll see where this goes. But if you have questions, I'd love to answer the questions, because I think this is important, because at the end I'm going to show you is that the future of society depends on the future of the marriage institution. And I'm not talking about these fake family values. I'm talking about scientifically. The children that we are producing are going to be affected by what has happened in the home in the first 4 to 7 years of their life. And it's subconscious, so they don't know that it has affected them. But when they go out into the real world, those unconscious emotions and thoughts and feelings, they get manifested in their reality. And so if there was disruption in the family, they end up creating a disruptive life. So parenting is so important, and marriage is so important, because that's who's going to run the major institutions and run for political office and all that. So we have to look back and say, okay, where we are now, is that something that was actually started because it was a problem in parenting in the 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s or whatever? Because that's when I grew up. I'm a baby boomer. So what was going on then? What was the parenting like? Now, what is the parenting like now? And what kind of children have we produced? So just think about that, you guys. All right. All right. So this is my wife and I. Now, I'll be honest with you. You're going to say, well, Dr. Taylor, you look a lot younger there. Well, yeah, because I was younger there. That's actually in 2014. And we were actually in Bordeaux or whatever. And that was, I don't know, it was some anniversary. I forgot. But we've been married for 40 years. And I believe that the most important decision we made in the first year of our marriage, and this is what I learned from my parents, because they did the death do you part kind of thing, is that you have to take divorce off the table. You have to burn the boats. Now, I'm not saying if you're in an abusive relationship or whatever, but if you are deciding that you're going to get married and you're committed to each other, you have to burn the boats. You have to take divorce off the table. And I still believe that that is the most important decision that two people have to make. Don't give yourself that option. Okay. And then it makes you have to evolve. It makes you have to grow. It makes you have to become something that is greater than what you would be alone. So this union should enhance both of you guys. All right. So a relationship should make the man better and make the woman better. And then I'll tell you, when you have those two features, it magnifies the relationship. Okay. So the more you put in the relationship, the more both of you will grow, and the relationship will multiply 10 times that. And I'm telling you that's something I learned 2 or 3 years ago. And I'll tell you why and how I learned that. All right. So why this matters now. Now, the reason why I brought this up is that I was talking to one patient, and somehow we got on that I've been married for 40 years. She's been a patient of mine for 10 or 15 years. And she was like, man, it's so rare that you guys work together, all this, and you've been married for 40 years. And so she sent me this tape. Well, she sent me this link to Harville Hendricks. And he's a marriage counselor, and he's talking about the 4 core things that need to be a part of a marriage. But anyway, so she was talking about that. And then we had a couple who we've known for 20 years, and they were on the brink of divorce. They were thinking about, and so my wife had been talking to the woman, and I had been talking to the man. So we sat down and said, let's just resolve this right now. So we sat there for 2 hours and we talked, and we gave them our words of wisdom. And at the end of that 2 hours, we had really resolved things. And they had promised that they had taken divorce off the table. They were going to work it out. They weren't going to have that as an option. And I also said, which is something that I remember, I don't even remember who sang this song. I told him, I said, look, man, as the words of this old song says, it's cheaper to keep her. Okay. So that's what they were worrying about is how they were. It's like, it's cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to stay in the marriage than to separate it. And I'm not talking about money cheaper. I'm just telling you about the effects on your life and the children's lives. It's cheaper to keep the relationship together. All right. So now this is what I'm saying about childhood. I see patients and I talk about stress, and I ask patients, how long have you felt like this? And not everybody says this, but a lot of people say, I don't even remember feeling normal. And then the next question I always ask is, tell me about your home life. Did you feel like it was stable or whatever? And almost all the time, they're going to say they had an alcoholic father or mother, or they had an absent, or they were distant, whatever. There was some instability in the home. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that home environment, I've talked about this before, is that a child is in the theta brainwave state. That means that whatever they see or hear, they take it into their subconscious, because at that point they don't have language. So all they feel and all they react to or all they remember are emotions. So for the first 4 years of your life, for the first 4 years of a kid's life, they only receive emotions. They feel energy, and it gets into their subconscious, and they say, oh, the world is not safe, so I have to protect myself. I have to close myself in. They can't verbalize that, but that is what is happening subconsciously. So now as these children grow up, they feel that same disconnection and instability and all of those different things. So the family is a nervous system unit. Children learn, is love predictable? Is conflict explosive? So are they seeing love and they see it all the time and it's consistency and everybody feels safe? So they feel safe. So they don't feel the world. They don't feel anything. They feel safe. Or are they looking at that, wow, everything is an argument. Everything is disruptive. Wow, that's how the world is. Wow, I'm going to have to deal with that. And that is safety consistent, because everybody wants to feel safe. That's the difference between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. When you feel unsafe, the sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight. So you're always in that fight or flight. So whenever somebody says something to you, it's either fight or I got to retreat. So it sets your nervous system. You only have two switches. Either it's fight or flight or rest and digest. And what emotion is in your subconscious that is consistent? Is it rest and digest, or is it constantly fight or flight? All right. So, and then we say, well, gosh, do I just stay for the kids? No, not if it's two dysregulated people. And so then you have this chronic hostility. They see this emotional Cold War. So either they see you fighting all the time, or they see you just saying, we're just going to suffer through this. We'll just be roommates. We're not going to show any passion toward each other. We're not going to show each other love. We're just going to live in the same household. We're going to try and raise these 2, 3, 4 kids, and we're just going to suffer through it. Let me tell you, the children feel that. They may not verbalize it. They feel it. All right. So this is not an ideal situation either. Just because you're present, it doesn't mean that the child feels safe. Sometimes it's almost worse to stay together for the kids, because they're constantly seeing this emotional Cold War. So either it's an explosive situation, or it's two parents who are distant from each other. And really that makes the child feel distant also, because they don't feel like it's a safe family unit. So that's and again, I'm going to talk about this. It's hard to feel regulated when your nervous system and your hormones aren't regulated. All right. So it's very hard to have that projection in your family if your inside is not feeling that way. All right. So I told you I was listening to this Harville Hendricks, and this is the thing he says. He says, you have to realize that you are married to a different person. Okay. That person is not like you. He talks about how there's nothing in nature that is exactly the same. So just think about it. They say the snowflakes all have different geometric shapes. Every leaf is different. Every tree is different. Everything, there's nothing exactly the same in nature. So for you to think that your partner is just like you, oh, we have so much in common, he's just like me. No, that is your love brain, okay, is disconnected. You are in fantasy land. And so you think that this person is just like, no, that person is different. And we always say, I want somebody to understand me. And I was listening to, I listen to all this kind of stuff. So this is a Buddhist teaching saying, no one understands you. Okay. No one can understand you. No one has lived your life. So you have to understand that each person has a totally different story. And there's no way you can understand it or knew how they felt when they were 8 years old and somebody bullied them or whatever. So understanding is what you want is somebody to hear you and to understand how you feel. And that's what I had to learn from my wife and women, is that's what they want. Is not that, oh, I understand you and now this is what you need to do to make yourself better. That is relationship suicide for a man, to say, I know how you feel and this is what you should do. They don't want you to tell them what to do. They just want you to listen to how they feel, and they want you to mirror their emotion. And when I say mirror it, it doesn't mean if they are upset, you have to get upset. You just have to understand that they are upset. Now, to a man, we don't understand it because we have a Y chromosome. But if you are committed to the relationship, you want to do things that enhance the relationship. And if that means listening and mirroring and understanding and making my wife feel safe, that's what I have to do. So anyway, nature thrives on difference, and marriage is difference. Romantic love hides that, and reality reveals it. That's what I'm saying. When you're in love, you don't make rational decisions. Okay, you just don't. You are living in a fantasy world. And everybody who's in, and people who are in love, what they do is they change themselves in the ways that they are not compatible, and then they try and cover it up because they say, hey, it's like that 80-20 rule, I guess. Well, he's got 80%, and then I'll try and change the 20%. And see, that's the mistake. All right. So there's 4 core needs. All right. Every marriage must protect the safety. The number one thing that both parties want is safety. Okay. They want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. They want to feel like the other person not understands them, but relates to them, can feel how they feel, can kind of mirror, can understand, can move how they move. So they want safety. They want to make sure that this relationship is safe, that you're not going to go out and, and harm the relationship and break the trust of the relationship. That's how they want to feel. So then if you feel like that, you cannot really connect until you have this emotional safety, that both people feel safe. And when they feel safe and they feel like they're not going to be attacked, then they connect. And here's the quantum field theory about that, is that if you believe that everything is connected because we're all energy. And what he talks about is when you make that one connection with your spouse or significant other, when you really make a deep connection, it helps you to feel connected to everything. So that one connection, it really connects you to everything. It's called non-locality, that you can do something in one place and it can be felt in another place. So that's the thing. That's the importance of connection. And that's why it feels so good when you're connected to someone. You go out in nature, and nature, feels better. I talk about, when a man has sex, he forgets all of his problems, and he goes out and he hears birds singing, and whatever, because now men think connection is sex, but that's not how women see it. Women see connection as passion. And that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit. So women see it as passion, and that's how they connect. And so then after connection, you want to feel valued. You want to feel like I am contributing something. He values me. I'm bringing something to the relationship that's enhancing him, and now our relationship is better. And then when you do that, when that relationship expands, then that's the aliveness. That's the passion that everybody wants. And here's the thing, and this is what I've felt, is that when you have passion, sex becomes less important. And that's revolutionary for a man, and I'm a man. Now that we have really gone through all of this and we're at this stage, man, passion, it's better than sex. I'm going to tell you, because I can look at her and I can feel the passion, and we look at each other and we smile. And sometimes that is better than this temporary, 5-10 minutes, however long you can have sex. It's because passion is that when I see her in the morning, I feel the passion, and it has nothing to do with so that's it. But you got to have safety. You got and this is what I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you, I did not do this full circle really till about 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, my wife, she didn't feel fully safe. She felt 80% safe, but not that 20%. We had 80% connection, but I'm telling you, we didn't have the other 20%. She felt some value, but I don't think she felt complete value. And we had some passion, but we didn't have that continuous passion. Okay. So you can get through marriage, and marriage can be good, but I'm going to tell you, if you can make that one shift, it can be great. And I'm telling you, we've been married for 40 years, but we've had two and a half, 3 years of great marriage. And all of those pictures you see of us in Egypt and all that, that's because we enhanced our relationship. And now we feel so alive. We've been to Africa 2 or 3 times. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the passion. And you just enjoy experiencing life together. And that's it. And I don't want you to feel too, woo-woo stuff. But I'm just telling you, this is what we've experienced. Okay. So what's the biology behind this? Well, when you feel safe, you can rest and digest. Okay. And that's where your sexual energy comes from. You have to be relaxed in order for the reproductive system to work. That's why men have performance anxiety. That's why women, when they go through an infertility workup, it's so stressful that a lot of times they can't get pregnant. Then once they relax, now they get pregnant, because now the rest and digest system has allowed the reproductive system to work. So then the reason why connection is because we value, or we crave, bonding, or oxytocin. Oxytocin is when you hug somebody that you love and you just feel it. That's that bonding hormone. And then the value is that everybody wants, they have a certain identity that they want to protect. Okay. And they want you to respect that identity. And then the aliveness is the dopamine, the vitality, and the sexuality. That's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, that passion is a wonderful thing. And when you're passionate about something or someone, it's a great feeling. All right. So let's see. Oh, we're still doing good on time. All right. So stage 1, see, there's romantic love. And believe it or not, you are attracted to a person who subconsciously is different from you. And that difference is actually good. Okay. Because I'll tell you, my wife and I, we are very different, but it actually fulfills some of my weaknesses. And so, but anyway, let's start it. So you get chemistry, and you fall in love. You see this person, it's just, oh gosh. And what you're really doing, you're projecting your ideal person onto this person. Okay. So you have an idealized idea of what this person is, because when you are in love, it covers up a multitude of faults. Okay. Now this is romantic love. So you don't see that, his feet are nasty, or you don't see a lot of the stuff. You just see what you want to see. Okay. And so it's wonderful. You don't see the differences. And I told you, nature does not make anything exactly the same. So you may think you have so many things in common, but you are different. You two are different. He says, you wake up from the honeymoon and you find out that that person is different. Now, sometimes the honeymoon is a day, and sometimes the honeymoon is 2, 3, 4 years, but sooner or later, you're going to find out that that person is different. So the differences surface. Okay. And then they really come from the childhood wounds. You really want your spouse to provide you what you didn't get as a child. And that's this Harville Hendricks. That's his theory. Is that's what you are longing for, and that's what you are attracted to. You don't know that, okay? But you are attracted to the things that you didn't get as a child. Now remember, all of those are emotions. You can't verbalize it or whatever, but it comes up. So now when you find out that that there's the differences, all right, you say, that's not what I signed up for. I wanted you to be what I am, not what I am lacking. Okay. So, but then you find out that that person is exhibiting all those, and at first you see it as a problem, and then when you are under stress, it just intensifies those differences. Those differences aggravate you even more. All right. And so most couples will exit right there. They're like, you're not the person I married. And I'll tell you that life situations, when children come, mothers change, women change, fathers change. Okay. So when children come, when you're dealing with all of the issues of parenting, those are stressful events. So it intensifies those differences. All right. So you have to understand that as life changes, the person is going to change. And people say we grew apart. Yeah, you're right. You did grow apart. You went your own ways. You didn't connect, and you had these joint projects that you wanted to do, or joint ideas. All right. So let's move on. So, and then what Harville Hendricks doesn't understand is that, yes, it's hard to feel connected. It's hard to feel safe. It's hard to feel alive, and it's hard to feel valued when all of this stuff is going on. You got chronic cortisol. We don't sleep. We have sleep deprivation. Testosterone shifts, perimenopause shifts, identity crisis. You know, people get to their 50s and like, is that all there is? I've worked, and now I'm here and I'm tired. My family's falling apart. I have all of these things. What is this all about? And so you've got to navigate. You've got to be able to identify all of these issues, and that's why I think, you know, these two go together. Is that the couple that we talked to last night? They or 2 days ago, they've been a patient for a long time, so they understand all this. We got the hormones right. They come in and get IVs and get the cortisol right. So they were in the perfect situation that we could sit down and talk to them, and they could actually feel. And really, the whole issue was neither one of them felt safe. The man was having some financial challenges in his business, so he was not feeling safe, and then it was making her feel unsafe. Okay, so it was really all about that first one. And when you don't have safety, you can't connect, you can't value each other, and you definitely can't feel alive. So it was all about trying to understand that they both were feeling insecure, they both were feeling unsafe. So they had to verbalize that. And so now she understood why he was reacting like that. He was keeping all of that in. He didn't want to tell her all of that stuff. So we got it all out in the open. They both understood each other. And here's the other thing. My wife brought me into the session because she said, I need some man ears in here, because things get misinterpreted, because a woman speaks from a woman's brain and a man hears from a man's brain. And a lot of times that communication gets disrupted in the process. All right. So let's go ahead. So early decision divorce was not an option. So what it did is forced us to grow. And that's what we have done. We have grown. We have grown emotionally. We've grown physically. You know, we go to the gym, try and take care of our bodies. We know we're getting older. We try and take care of our brains. We try to always be learning. We try to do things to challenge ourselves. We went and climbed this mountain to see the mountain gorillas. It was a challenge. And so we experienced life together. You see, we've been to Egypt, all these kind of things. All right. So what that has created. So it's time for a break. So then we're going to get so what do you do from here? So we've been on for 30 minutes. So let's take a little break, and then we'll go from there.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right. Hello, we're back. And if you're just joining us, welcome to Ageless Blueprint. And I am the hormone doctor and spiritual MD. But now, today, I'm just a married guy who's about to celebrate his 40th wedding anniversary and trying to, I see these YouTube videos and they have these older couples and guys talking about what they wish they knew. They may be 60, 70. Hey, what I wish I knew, a long time ago, my life would have been easier. So this is what I'm kind of getting across. Hey, look, this is how we survived 40 years of marriage. I'm listening to people who are supposed to be marriage counselors, who are marriage counselors. Good. And I'm just trying to see how can I add what I know to what are those core values of love and marriage or whatever that we talked about, which was safety, connection, value, and then vitality or aliveness. So what that created, when we decided that we were not going to get divorced, the divorce was off the table. So what we would do is that, hey, when we saw that a discussion was getting, a little bit out of hand, we'd say, hey, we're raising our voice. Let's take a little time. Let's go to our corners. Luckily we have a big enough house where she can go one place. And we just kind of calm down for a minute and really try and figure out, all right, now what is this all about? All right. Now, sometimes I will go and take a walk, you exercise, kind of clear your mind, and try and stay in the present. Don't talk about things that have happened and all that. Just stay in the present. What is this particular situation about? We gave ourselves some space before we made any real decisions about whatever we were arguing about. Let's calm down. Let's let our executive brain come back online. Let's get out of the fight or flight. Let's think about this, and let's think about how important our relationship is. And now let's go back and talk. Okay. So never decide in dysregulation. Never decide when your frontal cortex, when your executive brain is offline. And whenever you're in fight or flight, that's what's happening. All right. Now, here's what actually happened in our marriage. Now, you see, I've told you that the only reason why I started Ageless Blueprint and I'm doing what I'm doing today is because I changed. Okay. I was turning 64, about to turn 65. And I said, I'm not sure which way my life is going. Are we just going to just decline and just fade off into the sunset? Or are we going to try and live life to the fullest? So I will tell you that I changed. People change when there's conflict or when there's chaos. So what was actually happening is there was a lot of things going on. We had some issues with some neighbors and family and whatever. And I was really feeling frustrated. And my wife was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you like this? She said, I don't know if I can stay with you if you remain like this. And this is after we've been married 38 years. And I'm like, wow, what is wrong with me? So anyway, I took that reality creator course and I decided I was going to create my future. Is that you can think your way into a better future, because what you feel internally will be manifested externally. And one of the things I wanted my wife, I wanted us to have a true loving relationship. And what I understood is that I had to change. I had to understand her better. And she always thought that I listened to her, but I didn't really hear her. And women wanted to be heard. And the only way I could do that is I had to open up and allow my emotions to be exposed. And then I could understand her emotions. And men are taught to suppress their emotions. And the only time men can release their emotions is when they have sex. So they have all these pent up emotions. And the reason why men gravitate towards sex, because that is the one time they can feel free to express themselves. So that's it. So when you open yourself up and you allow your emotions to come out more regularly and more consistently, and you match the emotions of your wife, that's when the marriage, I'm telling you, it exploded. Okay. These last 2 years have no doubt about it been the best 2 years of our marriage. Why? Because I changed. And then when I changed, she responded to me differently. And then she started to change because she had to reflect back my change. And so that's how it happens. Okay. When one person changes, so you're trying to change the other person, we've all heard this. We said the other person will change in response to you changing. So I had to take, it's not that my wife didn't love me like I wanted. I needed to love her like I wanted her to love me. Okay. Now it sounds crazy and paradoxical, but that is when our marriage changed, is when I changed. So stop trying to change your spouse. If you change, the person will if you change, the person will respond to you differently if they love you. Okay. Because love casts out all fear. Love covers up a multitude of faults. Faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. And I'll tell you what I told the couple. I said, sometimes my wife gets on my very last nerve, but I love her. Okay. Is that I love her. So I can't, it doesn't matter. She gets on my nerves, but at the end, I just love her and I'll get over it. And then we'll go back and we'll continue to have this relationship. All right. So that's what I'm talking about. If you can just push through, and it took me 38 years, hopefully it won't take you that long. Okay. Hopefully it'll take you less time. But now we had a good marriage, but now it's great. So I just want to put that. I'm not saying that we just stayed together for the kids and all that stuff. No, we didn't. We nurtured our relationship from the beginning. We took date nights because we understood that if we loved our family, we had to stay together. We learned that the hard way. Okay. We did it. So that's important. All right. So anyway, so yesterday's session, how we were able to do, we slowed them down. We normalized their stress. We let like this is how these two people feel. You have to communicate that. We removed the catastrophic thinking. We told them at the beginning, let's take divorce off the table and now let's talk. Because when you threaten somebody with divorce, that disturbs their safety. So once you mention that, now they feel unsafe. Now they're in fight or flight. Now their executive function is turned off. Okay. So you have to stay with that. Divorce is not an option. Now let's talk. Let's figure out how we're going to grow from this. And we're not going to destroy this and destroy our family, destroy our kids. We are not going to do that. So their nervous system softened, and that's when clarity returned. Their executive function came back on, and they were able to work this out. Now, I'm not naive. They still need marital counseling, but hopefully they're going to come at it in a different way. All right. So let's talk about gray divorce, because they were in that gray divorce section. Okay. And his wife had actually passed away. So he was a widower, and this was his second marriage. And so that was, a whole kind of thing too. But anyway, so gray divorce question. Are people divorcing because they are incompatible or because they are dysregulated? Now, I will tell you, I have had patients come back to me after we had gotten their hormones straight, and they said, wow, if I had done this, I probably wouldn't have gotten a divorce. Now, I've heard that more than one time. So that's why I believe that some divorces are just incompatible. But I believe that a lot of them is just you have two dysregulated people trying to have those core values of relationship, trying to connect, trying to feel safe, trying to respect each other. And it's hard to respect another person when you don't love and respect yourself. Okay, so if you denigrate yourself, you abuse yourself with the thoughts that you're having, it's very hard to love someone else if you don't love yourself. Okay, And those are all, all of these religious teachings and all you have to love yourself first. That's why they say on the airplane, put the mask on yourself first before you try and help somebody else. That is a key of life, I believe. All right. So restoring the family is not nostalgia, it's not religion, it's not repression, but it's commitment. It's about identity evolution. And you have to realize that yes, you are not married to the same person that you initially got married to. Everybody changes. Their identity changes. People learn. They go through different experiences. So then they change. So, and even your whole body, we've all heard this. Every 7 years, every cell in your body is different than what it was 7 years ago. All right. So you are different. So you have to understand that you are going to change. Both of you are going to change. And you got to understand, are you going to grow apart? Are you going to grow together? That is the decision that you have to make. But it's a lot easier to make it if you are all regulated and that you have a shared mission. Some people think it's crazy that me and my wife work together, but we have a shared mission. And that shared mission, we enjoy working together. We are together 24/7, unless I'm going to the store or whatever. We are together 24/7, unless she's asleep and I'm down here. But we live our lives together, and so that the fact that we have gone through all of this makes that a whole lot easier, because we could not have worked together earlier in our relationship because we were still dysregulated. Now that we're more regulated, we can work together and enjoy each other and have a lot of fun. So anyway, so I'm telling you, so this is Harville Hendricks' thesis. He says the way you change society is you create stable families. If you can create a stable family, you are going to have well-regulated children. You're not going to have two dysregulated people coming together. All right. And that makes secure adults. And now these secure adults can make strong communities. And then these strong communities can actually change society. All right. So that's his thought process. And he thinks that the reason that if you look at society now, what you do is you go backwards and say, what was the family life like with these children or whoever you're talking about? What was the family life like? Has family life changed in the last 40, 50 years? Well, of course it has. Okay. So I am a product of parents who grew up in the Depression. They grew up in 1923 and 1927. Okay. So we had a stable family of 6 children. There was no drama in our house. There was no mention of divorce. I never saw my parents fight. I never saw them raise their voice at each other. And so that's how I am. Okay. Now, my wife, totally different. Parents divorced. She was looking for someone that she could have a stable family with. I guess I was looking for someone who was exciting, who was different than me, because she is the one who is planning these trips and these adventures and all of these things, because she is different from me. And she sleeps late. I wake up early. I go to bed early. She stays up late. We used to fight about that. Then we said, wow, that makes us productive like 20 hours out of the day, because somebody is up doing something for the family or for the business or whatever, taking care of the house. So we ended up cherishing our differences. And that's what Harville Hendricks is saying. He says, look, you are looking for somebody to complete you. You are looking for somebody to give you what you didn't get when you were growing up. You're looking for someone who has a different perspective on life so you can grow. And I will tell you that my wife has stimulated my growth. Every time when we wrote the books, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? It's because my wife said, you're not passionate about anything. You finished your residency, you're doing your OBGYN, and you just think You've made it. You're only 30 something years old. You need to have some passion. And she wasn't talking about having more sex. She was talking about being passionate about something. So I got passionate about bioidentical hormones, and we wrote this book together, and then we changed our practice together. All of these things because she challenged me. The reason why I'm doing Ageless Blueprint is because she's challenged me. She said, you can't be like this all the time. I don't like you being like this. And so I changed. Now, I'll tell you, when I went to Egypt and we saw all of these statues of the pharaohs, and several of the statues would have the pharaoh in front. And then if you went to the side, you would see that there was a woman doing this, pushing him forward. And when you talk about behind every good man, there's a good woman, that is 100% true. Because women see things in men that they don't see. And my wife saw things in me that I never even thought I was capable of. So women push men forward. Okay. Now women, they don't need anybody to push them. Okay. They don't. But men need somebody to see what their potential is. Women know their power. They know their inner strength. Women, they know that they have intuition. They're connected with themselves. Men have been told to disconnect from their inner emotions. All right. So now, but a woman can see it, and they can, and if you'll listen, they can really enhance your life. Okay. But men, I'll tell you, you need to listen to your wife. Your wife will allow you to become who you were destined to be. And I really 100% believe that, because there's no way I would be doing what I'm doing now if my wife had not challenged me and been a partner with me, and that we grew together. And we're at the stage of our life, and we're not looking at each other cross-eyed, and we're not wishing that the other person would go somewhere. It really is. I didn't know that after 40 years, you could feel better about a marriage than you felt when you first saw each other, and you like, oh, this is a match made in heaven, and all that stuff. You think that's the greatest thing that ever was, and you try to want to get back to that. But no, I'm telling you that there's much more at the end of that rainbow than at the beginning of the rainbow. The light is brighter at the end than it even is at the beginning. So I don't know. Hey, Rebel, I know we got a couple of minutes left, but I think I got one more slide. So this is it. So if you want to change society, you don't start in Washington. It's not about the midterm elections. It's not about any of that stuff. If you want to change society in the future, you ought to start it in your living room. First, with you and your spouse, before you even think about having children. But then when you have children, you got to think about, how is my relationship with my spouse going to affect my children? And that's what's important, you guys. So if you want to, if you're not happy with the way society is now, change your living room. Okay. Change your living room, change how you relate to each other, try to instill those core values, but try to get your body regulated so that you can provide safety for each other, so you can connect to each other, so you can respect each other, and then you can feel alive with each other, and you can have passion in your life. And I'm telling you, passion is a wonderful feeling. All right, Rebel. That's me. Next week I'll be back as the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. But I saw this, and I'm thinking about bringing my wife on, and we talk about this, and so we just got to do it at another time, like I told you, Rebel, because she sleeps late. 9 o'clock is early for her. I've been up since 4:30, 5 o'clock. This is my time to shine, and that's why I do my podcast early like this. And I wanted to show you, I'm in my spare bedroom. See, I sneak down here so I can do what I want to do, and I don't disturb my wife. And so that's why I said, let me let you see me in my natural habitat here. So, all right, Rebel. Well, I know we got to go. You got any questions or anything?
We have a lot of questions. That song Cheaper to Keep Her? Is
Yeah,
it possibly by Johnny Taylor from 1970?
exactly. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's cheaper to keep her. I was going to say like Ray Charles, but I'm like, no, that's not it. Yeah, that was. So what else do we have? Do we have some?
Oh, we have lots of questions here that I'm probably going to have to email you because we are
Okay.
out of time.
Okay, well,
But,
email
yeah.
me, yeah, and I will answer. I'll sit here today and try and answer them. Okay, I know I got on a roll and I couldn't stop.
We can help all these people with their questions when you do a part 2 to this one.
Okay, all right. So I'll look at the questions and try and do a part 2, and maybe the part 2 is I'll bring my wife on and we can answer those questions. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.